welcome to the Bookworm on tomsriver.tv. I'm Frank.
And I'm Megan.
And we're here tonight to talk about books. And before we get started, I want to say thank you to our friends at Barnes & Noble of Brick, who made all these books available tonight for us to talk about. And our first book that we're going to discuss this evening is the follow-up book by Audrey Niffenegger. Her first book was The Time Traveler's Wife, which just made into a major motion picture. And her new book is The Fearful Symmetry, 6 years after The Time Traveler's Wife. And it's a different book. And one of the things that Audrey Niffenegger said about the book is that she did not want to write the same book over again. And I think, Megan, she wrote one that's very different.
She did. She actually wrote the opposite of what her book, The Time Traveler's Wife, was. Time Traveler's Wife was a love story. Right. It was time traveling with a librarian, and this is totally opposite. It's edgier, and it's dark, and it's kind of like a gothic ghost story.
Right, it's a ghost story.
It's different.
A good lead-in for Halloween later this month. It's about two young girls from Chicago, and their aunt, who lives in the United Kingdom, in London, who they never met, passes away, and they inherit her flat in London.
Right.
And the flat is adjacent to a very famous cemetery there, the Highgate Cemetery. And the story is about their interaction with all the neighbors in the building.
Right.
And
which are kooky neighbors.
Which are all kooky. And, one of the things that the author tried to do is develop the characters, and the story is about their interaction, things that happen
right.
to them. And a letter in the beginning of the book kind of foretells that each person's life is going to change.
Yeah.
Because of that letter. Now, Megan, you told me you started reading this book already?
I just started reading it. I'm about quarter of the way through. It's pretty good. It's definitely not it's not The Time Traveler's Wife. So anyone who's read it, it's totally the opposite.
Totally the
opposite. So, I mean, she does have crazy characters. She's got the one crossword puzzler. He makes up crossword puzzlers, but he's got such OCD that he can't even leave his house.
Okay.
And he has people deliver.
Somebody I know.
Yeah, he has people deliver 20 different newspapers, and he compiles all these different. It's nuts. I don't know. Family secrets, mysteries.
Right. And that's what the story's about. It's about love,
ghosts,
secrets, people's secrets, interaction with different characters, and it really talks about that. The tenacity of life, even beyond death.
Yeah, and how some people just can't let go, even in death.
That's right.
I don't want to ruin it.
Right, don't want to ruin it. But it's a very beautifully written book.
Yeah.
Very descriptive in the prose. And I think people that enjoyed The Time Traveler's Wife will enjoy this book, even though it's different.
Oh, definitely.
And I think
it went right to bestsellers. So.
That's right. In fact, today, this book goes on the Barnes & Noble bestseller list.
Right.
And we're going to talk a little bit later about how you can save money with every book you buy from Barnes & Noble. But today, this book is 30% off.
Right.
And we'll talk about membership in a few minutes. Members get 40% off.
Right.
And I also brought along, because this is what I like, this book's available, in, as most books are, in audio, on CDs. So if you commute, you're in the car, you're going to the gym, you're exercising, you can listen on a CD.
How do you get out of the car, though, when you have the audio? You're at a good part.
You do what I do. You sit in the car till the end of the chapter.
I never listened to audio before.
I recently saw an interview with Audrey Niffenegger, and one of the things she said is that the title of this book came from a William Blake poem written in 1794 called "The Tiger," and the lines are, "Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry?"
Okay.
And the poem talks about, Blake being angry that God created good and evil, and how the two interplay.
Wow.
So it was interesting that she chose that
I just thought the cover was cool.
Cover is very cool. In the trees.
It does. It looks neat. It looks like you're laying in a cemetery and you're looking up at all the trees.
Okay, so if you're looking for a book that has romance, ghosts, a gothic love story, this is it. Yeah?
That's right.
Okay, next up.
All right, this is my pick.
This is a book that Megan chose.
This is The Hunger Games by Susan Collins. She is a teen fiction author. And this is like a real life Survivor. So if you took the show Survivor And you know how people get kicked off the show? Well, in this book, they die. They get murdered. Okay? It's a convincing portrayal of this post-modern world, a fictional nation called Panem.
Right.
Okay? And it's where this totalitarian government
It's a tongue twister.
That's right.
takes over and uses brutality and starvation and just horrible tactics to keep their districts all under control.
Right. And every
year, two children from 12 to 18,
boy and a girl,
are chosen to go into this survival type game. And only one winner can come back.
And what's the benefit to the community if their winner comes
Well,
back?
basically, that district reaps all the benefits. So they get a lot of money, they get a lot of food, they get, the best of everything.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
This book is really has
It's
it all.
deep.
But it has
it's
it all.
deep.
It has physical adventure. It has political suspense.
Right.
It has romance.
Yep, there's a love story in there.
Yep. Love story between the two main characters. And a lot of adventure in the book.
Yeah.
Okay. One interesting thing I'll point out is the cover of this book. You know what the cover of this book is?
It's a phoenix. No. What is it?
It's the pin.
It's a bird.
It's a copy of the pin that's given by the mayor's daughter to Katniss. Right.
Yep.
And that's the cover. That's an important part of the book in there. And you mentioned Survivor. It's like Survivor, but it really combines, I think, Survivor and American Gladiators.
Okay.
That's a good way to look at it.
Sure.
Okay, now, if you're listening right now, does that sound like a teen book? I don't know.
Well, I mean, when I started reading it, it can be gruesome. I don't know if I would recommend it to my 12-year-old, but definitely a more mature 15, 16, and up.
So on the other side of 15 for this book.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is the second book?
This is the first book. The
first
second
book in the
book
series.
is Catching Fire.
Okay.
Wait, what is it? Girl Catching Fire, I believe.
And is that a continuation of this
Catching
story, or is
Fire.
it separate?
No, it's a continuation. And actually, when I read this book, it took me 2 days to read it, The Hunger Games, and then I got Catching Fire, and I finished it in a day because
Wow.
I loved it so much.
Wow.
It was so good.
Yeah. You had recommended this book, and I looked at it.
I've recommended it so many times
I'm
in the
gonna
store.
read this. Yeah, it sounds like a great book. Okay, all right. Coming up next, we're going to talk about my next choice, which I'll give you a little preview. Glenn Beck. Okay, so let's take a break, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
See you later.